Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia. This is actually the day 50 catch-up video. So for this is especially dedicated to the people, the new viewers, or anyone that had not been following closely to what is happening, in Ukraine, in this war between Russia and Ukraine, or in terms of Russia's perspective, this is not even a war. This is just a special military operation that seems to be really expensive. So instead, I will not be going through like daily what had happened like I previously have done. You can go back and catch that video. I think that is 1 to day 30. So mainly, I want to just talk about what is at stake, what is actually happening, on the ground, and what is the thing that we should look out for, and what is the sentiment on the Ukraine side and the Russia side. And this is that kind of video. And the summary for the day 50 will actually be due with day 51, and that will be done maybe much later, because there is still some things to happen that had happened, but I will report that in a separate video. So this video, we want to talk about the situation on the ground, why are the fightings what is the situation, and then as well as what is the objective for both sides, for both Ukraine and the Russian side. So let's start off with the situation on the ground. So the Russian forces had not really been able to move much. So previously, I bet that you have already known that the Russians have withdrawn from the entire northern front. Previously, they have captured all this territory all up the way to Irpin. Let me show you. Previously, it looks like this. This entire northern front, they have captured all this territory, but it's not really in a very secure way. They simply travel all the way to the frontier, and then they secure the main roads around here. They did not really have full control over the territory, nor do they have the love of the people around there. And since then, they have withdrawn, and that is seen as a huge victory for the pro-Ukrainian side, because that also shows that the Russian is unable to actually hold this front, and actually that I believe is true. So just start off with what happened in the beginning. In a very general sense, the Russians entered the war with the intention of a quick victory. They rushed all the way to Kiev, hoping that they will be able to enter Kiev and take Kiev in the way how they have taken Crimea. Unfortunately, Ukraine in 2022 is very different from the Ukraine in 8 years ago, when they overthrew the elected president. In whatever way, is it legal or not legal, I have no comments. So they are hoping that they can actually march through, hoping that the Ukrainian forces is actually not that fierce or courageous to actually take on the Russians. Unfortunately, for the Russian side, it's wrong. The Ukrainian military seems to be really ready to fight, and they are also better trained, better armed than they were 8 years ago. So the Russian forces, maybe Putin is hoping for a quick takeover of Kiev, and then they can quickly end this entire special military operation and maybe overthrow the administration of Zelenskyy, the president of Ukraine. Unfortunately, that did not happen, and that mission turned from taking Kiev to a distraction mission. So they are supposed to hold their positions in the north, try to secure all the major roads, in the hope that the Ukrainian forces will not be able to reinforce the eastern front. And then on the eastern front, the Luhansk forces with Russian forces began to take back the land. And however, most of the strongest defenses is actually in Donetsk, and this is where the entire front did not really make much changes. And then the Russians have to use the southern front to actually try to reach and try to attack the defenses from the rear, and that actually succeeded, and then entire front moved from Mariupol to, from here all the way to push all the way up to here. And however, the Russians also overextended themselves in Mykolaiv area, and then they are unable to hold this position, similarly to what happened in the north, and they have already pulled back all the way down to this line. This line actually follows largely close to the Kherson Oblast or the Kherson region's border. So you can see this dotted line is the Kherson border, and you can see that the Russian position is largely, following this border of Kherson. And this is what we have on the ground now. So the Russians had, this is day 50 already, as you probably can see from here. And truth to be told, despite all this capture, this is still way slower than what the Russians believe they could have managed. And they did not expect themselves to not be able to defeat the Ukrainian lines. And the Ukrainian lines here continues to hold really strongly. And the leader in Zelenskyy, the courage he have, and the way how he decided to stand up to Russia is also unexpected, probably, to Putin, because ultimately he was a comedian, an actor. He's not really a seasoned politician, and so his ability to hold on to power, to destroy all his political opponents within Ukraine while the war is going on, and continue to try to get to beg or to coerce or to persuade all the European countries to giving them more weapons and more money and more ammunition and stuff like that, is probably beyond what Russia has expected. Similarly, how Ukraine have responded to the invasion is nothing short of total war. So in Ukraine, how Ukraine has see this war is actually a total war. They see this as a direct invasion from Russia, and they responded in a total war situation. So what I mean by total war is that civilian casualties is no longer a core concern. That's total war. That means you all national effort, every resources that you can commit to, everything is pushed into war. And that's what Ukraine have done from day one. In fact, even information, every single piece of information coming out from what's happening is immediately used as an information weapon. The information war conducted by Ukraine is crazy, is nothing like I've ever seen before. They can lie about anything. They can bend the truth in any way they want, just to create that sense of heroism or heroic actions that have been performed by their people, and to continuously dampen the success of the enemy, to always constantly say that the Russians have morale issues, people are deserting, and they have been repeating that for as long as the war has been done. And that of course seems to be untrue. The Russian forces continue to progress, but I'm sure of course there are servicemen from Russia is feeling massively depressed, and that's especially they are being thrown into suicide missions, and there's a lot of that suicide missions being done by Russia, and the entire withdrawal is a kind of a conceit of that this war is not going to be over quickly, and that's why I believe they retreated and decided to fight the war in a more conventional sense. So previously they tried to conduct this lightning war. Hopefully they can topple the administration. It didn't work, and in fact Zelenskyy continues to double down. in Putin's case, I think he has already kind of did whatever he can in a way to convince Zelenskyy to just give up and go to the negotiation table. But the propaganda efforts by the Ukrainian government seems to suggest that they are going to go for broke. They are going to do whatever they can because they are willing to take up any level of debt just to defeat the Russians. This is the kind of hatred and the kind of determination to win this war. So talking about winning this war, so what does it mean by winning this war for Ukraine and for Russia? For the Russians, so we talk the easier one. Russian objective is has been spelled rather clearly right from the start. They want to liberate Luhansk for the Luhansk People's Republic, the self-governing state that self-declared their independence, and they want to liberate Donetsk People's Republic, which is the Donetsk region, which also declared their own independence. And both of these states or new republics are also intending to join Russia, to join the Russian Federation. They make no secrets of it, and that seems to be what is going to come. And on top of that, the Russians want the Ukrainians to accept that Crimea is permanently Russian. That means this is totally Russian land, and this is what they expected from the negotiation with Kiev, with Zelensky's team. And they, of course, the Russians also have this denazification mission, which is really vague, because not outright, I mean right-wing extremism is an ideology. It's very hard to kill off an ideology, and you can take out the people, the obvious ones like the military elements of this right-wing extremists, but I don't think it's doable. Of course, they are the neo-Nazis, which I nickname them the neo-Naughties. But from what I have seen, these neo-Naughties are really naughty. It's really Nazism, and it's really they really wants to they really believe in the what Nazi Germany, Hitler, what he and his extremists Nazism believers, what they believe. They believe in ultra nationalist kind of movement, and then they really look down on people who are what they think is different from them, and they get into all sort of weird stuff, which Nazism, Nazi Germany also did, and the Russians are determined to destroy them. So whether this is doable, is most people, including myself, I think we think it's not really possible. Then we have the demilitarization, and as we can see at this moment of time, the kind of fighting that is still going on, I think this demilitarization is also rather unachievable. The Russians, when they retreated from the Kiev side, they declared that they achieved the objective of demilitarization. However, after the retreat, the Ukrainians seems to fight even fiercer. Suddenly, the air force that I believe to have totally died out, mostly, suddenly reappeared with a lot of attack aircraft, a lot of fighter jets. Suddenly, all the helicopters that I believe to have destroyed suddenly are flying over, and even making raids into Russian territory. And of course, they also try to do crazy evacuation, suicide missions, and also some other commando raids around in the south. So this is also, I believe, was unexpected by the Russian side. So So now, after the withdrawal, after having so much death and miscalculation as well as poor logistic considerations and poor organization, they have so much death and losses, and now they realize that after withdrawing and thinking that they have succeeded in their mission, they are basically fighting an even stronger Ukrainian military. Despite whatever things they have done to try to destroy all the storage, the oil storage, ammunition storage, their logistic, oil depot, there is so many missile strikes on a daily basis. However, the Ukrainians are continue to be able to fight. Of course, there are logistic issues, resupplying issue from the Ukrainian side. But at the same time, some of the hardcore supporters in the West, including Poland, the Baltic states, and of course we have some bits from Germany, France, and of course the Americans, they continue to kind of burn their own taxpayer money to continue to feed Ukraine with more weapons, more ammo, more food, more resources, whatever Ukraine need to continue to fight. Basically, it's a proxy war. It's basically NATO funding Ukraine as a proxy to fight the Russians. And I believe the Russians already know this is happening, but of course, I think the Russians also underestimated how much this is going to happen. So instead of a quick war that I thought that will finish in 1 month, 2 months, we are now in day 50. We are coming to the second month, and this is looking more and more like what happened in Syria. So, and imagine Syria is a smaller territory. So Syrian civil war fought for years, like literally years, and despite having the Russians participating in the conflict with advanced weaponry, missiles, and air dominance, even this process took 2 years, 3 years before they managed to get to a point where they feel more comfortable, that Syrian government feels that they are in control. And even today, Syria is not fully liberated by the Syrian military, the national government. Even today, there are certain factions that Turkey is helping, and then there are certain parts dominated by the Kurds and the Americans. So given this context, now looking at Ukraine, this war is probably going to take a really long time to finish. The Russians now have a lot of success in Mariupol, but even this fight has been 40 days, at least 40 days. Let's see, yeah, it's around 40 days. So, and a city of this size take 40 to 50 days to conquer, and they are still not done yet. So we're not sure it's going to take 10 days or 20 days to clear out these remaining pockets of Ukrainian military. And then we still have bigger cities to talk about, like Severodonetsk and Lysychansk, and then we still have Kramatorsk, Sloviansk, even Popasna. This town here is much smaller than Mariupol. Has been fighting for 3 weeks, and it doesn't seem to be going to be over anytime soon. And then after Popasna, they still have to capture Bakhmut, they still have to capture Konstantinivka. They are unable to even defeat Avdiivka, which is quite a small place, simply because it's really very entrenched. So this is entirely, I believe, underestimated by the Russians. And the Russians are not bringing enough forces, they're not bringing enough heavy weaponry to kind of take these locations by storm. And even so, then we have this sinking of the cruiser Moskav. This battle cruiser is a missile cruiser. By right, should never be able to be sunk by cruise missiles, because this is a missile cruiser and it supposedly have a lot of anti-cruise missile defenses. So basically it's supposed to be impenetrable until its own defensive missiles run out. Somehow 2 missiles managed to hit it and it got sunk. So this actually kind of pisses off Russia as a whole, and the Russian analysts that I have been following are really very unhappy about this, and they are also very unhappy about the ability for Ukrainians to raid and launch missiles or have helicopter strikes into Russian territory, and they feel this is the Russian military is holding back too much. They want, all of them seems to want the Russians military to have a more stronger offense. However, this seems to be really, really hard. So in terms of objective for the Russian side, they will want to break through here to take Pokrovsk, or they actually break through at Huyanpo, take this Poroske, so that they can cut this supply line, and then they can take, or they can capture Pokrovsk, and this will actually end this entire supply line from Dnipro and Zaporizhzhia to this side of the front. However, they are stuck in Mariupol. They are unable to break through at this entire western side of Donetsk. And even this push down south from Izium seems to got stuck for a week already. So this make us comes to how the Ukrainian will see victory. Ukrainian is not fighting a war they can win. This is actually not a war that they can win in the conventional sense. They are fighting a country that's way, way bigger than them, have way more resources, way more people, a military that is, I think, 5 to 10 times bigger than theirs. So what would be a victory for Ukraine? A victory for Ukraine would be to drag out this war for as long as they can. This, to the Ukrainians, this is a battle of attrition. And however, they do not really have the resources and means to drag this out, and which is why Zelenskyy is begging and threatening the West into helping them fight this battle of attrition. So the Ukrainians have manpower, and then they expect the West to supply them with weapons, and their aim is to drag this out as long as possible, to make it as costly as possible for the Russians until the Russians give up. This is basically the plan. To expect the Ukrainians to push back entirely of the territory that the Russians have taken is really hard. It's not impossible, but the Russians still can double down to even 10 times stronger in terms of manpower and military strength. So this is maybe 200,000 troops. There are rumors of more troops being brought over from other places to participate, and more equipments are being brought to this front. Because of this thinking, I believe the Russians are now going to change their tactic. They even make a very outright threat that they will increase the number of missile strikes on Kiev in response to Ukrainian strikes in Russian territory. So this also shows that the Russians are running out of patience, and they want to really up the ante. And unfortunately, they are being stuck in their own narrative, because this is a special military operation. This is not a war, and they are being trapped by their own words. So they are now still moving troops in, and they are probably going to do some massive offensive, which I believe is going to be stuck as well. It's not the warfare here is just stalemate. It's really a lot like what happened in Syria, where breakthroughs are really hard, and to capturing a city takes months, and this is like looking likely to be the case. So that's all you need to know on day 50 about the situation on the ground. We are unlikely to see what happened in the first 2 weeks, where the armies capture a lot of grounds. You can see huge maneuver warfares or flanking or pincer movements. I think we are not going to see that. There's a lot of talk, even from Zelenskyy, that the objective of the Russians is now going to do this pincer movement to cut off the entire army here, which Zelenskyy say is around 40,000 troops. However, as far as I can tell, the Ukrainians are still able to hold up the Russians, and for every day that Russians fail to break through is another day the Ukrainians are able to entrench themselves along this entire line. And then not just this line, but more lines from behind and more lines in depth. So eventually you will see that this entire area will just be massively defended with continuous entrenchment and strongholds, fortified positions all over, which means that every single village will be a tough fight, much like what is happening in this region. The Russians gave so much information on the Ukrainians here. They provided all the strongholds in this region here in one of the daily report. Probably they thought that they're going to be taking all these positions rather quickly within a week or two, and that did not happen. Even this attack here at Novomahailivka, there's no more news since the 7th. So this entire region here is trapped, and this is just one small area in terms of when you compare to the rest of the front, where the Ukrainians have a massive defense in depth. And imagine this being replicated across the entire front line, and even within Bakhmut, and then behind Bakhmut, behind the cities, in front of Slovians, inside Slovians, between Kramatorsk, this way. So if the Ukrainians are able to do that, and they have the ability to continue to ferry troops and equipments in, even until today, which the Russian analysts are really pissed off about. All the Russian OSIN analysts and reporters, the people who are analyzing the war, they are all very angry about this. They are very disappointed that the Russian, despite all the missile strikes and dominance in terms of missile force and air force, they are unable to stop all this reinforcement. And every day past means additional entrenchment, deeper fortifications is happening all across this entire eastern Ukraine. So the entire initiative is gone. Previously, if you have followed me very closely, I have said that the initiative is all in the hand of the Russians. That is around 30 days ago, 20 to 30 days ago. This entire initiative is gone. The Russians do not really have much of an initiative now, because the Ukrainians have basically closed off all this opportunity. Even along the Zaporizhia line, this entire area is also likely to be heavily defended now, and with massive entrenchment or fortified positions in depth as well. And however, the Ukrainians themselves also do not have enough offensive capability to actually take Russian territory. So as we can see in the Mykolaiv front, there was this massive hype about this massive counter-offensive. It went nowhere. They are unable to break the Russian line as well. So the Ukrainians have now reached a point where they know that they cannot penetrate the Russian lines, but the Russians also cannot penetrate their lines. So they have resorted to terror tactics by attacking Russian territory with missiles and helicopter raids, like what happened just recently, as well as the attack, on the Bryansk, on Belgorod, or maybe they have commandos within the territory creating some havoc here and there, and that's what Ukraine is left with. This is the thing that they can do. Like, they have this surprise strike on this cruiser. This is what is limited to what Ukraine can do. They are unable to recapture the land, and all they're doing now is just to frustrate Putin into making more misjudgment or misstep. So the latest is that the Zelenskyy is warning the world about Russia may want to use tactical nuclear weapons. Something that I have been thinking about since the first 2 weeks, and then I have been collecting some explosion footages that I think might be nuclear weapons or tactical nukes, but after covering the war for 50 days, I think that is not true. I don't think those are nuclear weapons. And so whether the Russians will use nuclear weapons, I'm not even sure if it's meaningful, because the territory here, they want to capture intact, with the civilians all safe as much as they can. And using nuclear weapon may have other situations that they cannot expect, reactions from the NATO side they cannot expect, further shock to the economy that they cannot expect. So it's really hard to imagine Russia want to use that. And if they're going to use the tactical nuke, they might as well just use strategic nuke and threaten Ukraine into a surrender, like what the United States did in World War II, where they dropped a bomb in Hiroshima and then in Nagasaki and forced a surrender. I believe this is the only way I believe the Russians will use nuclear weapon. I do not think they will use it in a tactical way, because it does not make a lot of difference as compared to using the Iskander or Kinzhal or any other of these conventional weapons that they already have. So they may threaten Zelenskyy to surrender, and then if not, they'll maybe nuclear bomb Zhytomyr, or maybe nuclear bomb Lutsk. Maybe that's what they could do. And even that, seeing Zelenskyy's behavior and decision making for the past 50 days, I think Zelenskyy would rather Russia nuclear bomb every major cities in the western Ukraine, and he will still not surrender. I did believe Zelenskyy is going all out. He's not going to surrender at all. This is what I think. And then, so under such a situation, and I believe the Russians are likely to make this similar analysis or appreciation of the situation, then this will make it very unlikely that they will actually try to use a strategic nuclear weapon on these cities just to threaten Zelenskyy into a surrender. The other possibility of a nuclear weapon is simply just nuke Kiev, and that's it. That means they kill off the entire leadership, and then force Ukraine into this chaos situation, make them into Afghanistan, where warlords will start to take hold of positions and situations, and just let Ukraine become a mess, become a failed state like Libya. So this is the Libya solution. Just now, that one, the nuclear bomb and to threaten, that is like the World War II Pacific War solution on Japan. The other way is just simply destroy the leadership, like what the NATO did to Libya. Libya is this one. So NATO basically intervened in I don't even not sure if you can call it intervene, but they launched a air war on Libya. They caused the death of Gaddafi, and then because the lack of a leader, Libya went into a major civil war and become a failed state even till today. And that could be the solution that Putin would go for if he continues to be unable to convince Zelenskyy into a surrender, then he might just kill him. Russia have perfect capability to actually murder anyone on earth, like anyone. They can just use a hypersonic weapon with nuclear weapon, and the entire capital of Paris is gone. Maybe entire Berlin is gone. They can do that. So they can just strike Kiev, wipe out the entire leadership, and just let Ukraine become a failed state. So they can continue to fight, or imagine fighting Russians, while Russia will just consolidate the territory that they want to annex, and then and let the rest of Ukraine rot. And I believe this is a also possible scenario. So in terms of so Ukraine don't really have much option. I don't think they can take back the Donbas area nor Crimea, and they're just going to drag it on. And the Russian forces ambition to maybe take Odessa or Mykolaiv in the early days, I don't think they will do it. A lot of people keep talking about this force build up wanting to take Mykolaiv and also take Odessa. Even among the Russian analysts, I'm not convinced. I still don't think that Russians are interested in Odessa or Mykolaiv. They want Kherson, and they want the south of Zaporizhia. I don't think they want Zaporizhia itself here. I think they are happy with this territory here, and they want Donbas. And I'm not so sure about Kharkiv. There is a possibility that they want to take Kharkiv and make it into a buffer zone, and they could be also, after certain success here, or they have secured all this position, they might actually go for Sumy and even Chernihiv, or at least the northern part of it, or to build a buffer zone to not allow any direct border between Ukraine and Russia. And it is, I think this could be the case. So this is just a very messy, very random summary of day 50 of the entire war and what to expect as we move forward. And it's just as it is. It's a bit messy. It's a bit a lot of conjectures, a lot of projections of what could be happening. As far as I can tell, if you look at day 39 to 50, these 10 days, there's really not much difference. The Russians very much have stuck. So I do not believe more people actually makes any difference. I don't believe more heavy equipment will make any difference. Just like World War One, this entire line is like a World War One trench warfare. Just like in World War One, you can throw 1 million soldiers into the front and just rush them through over 1 week. They're still not going to capture that position. Maybe give them 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, and that's it. And it will just be senseless death. So this is my appreciation of what's happening on the ground. Hopefully it helps you to have some perspective of what's happening in Ukraine now. Because it's a bit hard for me to talk about this in the summaries, because the summaries are not meant to be be full of analysis. So that's why I have to make a separate video on this and talk about what I think is happening, what I think could be happening. So before I end, I also want to talk a bit about Mariupol. A lot of people saying that after capturing Mariupol, the forces here will be freed up and then they will be able to do this pincer movement. My opinion is they are not going to be able to make any difference. That's my opinion. You can put in another 10,000 troops here and try to rush, and they will still all die. Every step is just going to be a very careful, step by step, block by block, hectare by hectare push. and the Ukrainians have more than enough anti-tank weapons to take out any vehicles. So any attempt to to strike or to bash through the defenses is not going to work. Which is the same thing happened to the Ukrainians, where they are unable to break the Russian lines as well, for the exact same reason. So don't expect too much from the aftermath of Mariupol. Mariupol will fall eventually, definitely, but the free up forces is not going to make much of a difference. This is my opinion. So anyway, I'm not sure I should be happy about this, or not happy about this. My own personal position was that I didn't want it. In the beginning, when the war just started, I didn't want Russia to have a quick victory, because I believed it will embolden China to invade Taiwan, and that will create a massive problem for me in my region, because I'm from Singapore, and that will create a massive might start World War III. So I didn't want the Russian to have a quick victory in Ukraine. Then I got very disappointed by Ukraine's information war, because they lie too much, they misinform too much, and also at the same time the Russians are doing a lot to help the civilians and to provide in terms of humanitarian aids, and that makes me feel that the Russians are really trying their best, while on the flip side the Ukrainians are giving weapons to civilians and making them combatants when they are not trained, and also releasing criminals from the prison to fight. And then how they demand the West for more weapons and ammunition, fighting a war that they can't win. This kind of thing makes me very disappointed in Ukraine, because this is just a moral and ethical issue. But I also always say that in geopolitics and in war, there is no morals, there's no ethics. It's a war, people die, buildings get destroyed. It's a normal thing. So as a result, now I don't even know if I want the war to continue or not continue, to drag on or not to drag on, because I don't really take any sides to say the truth. I don't take any sides. A Ukraine victory is not good. A Russian victory is also very unlikely, and so I have no idea what to really think. So a lot of people say that I'm pro-Russia or what. I'm pro-Russia only because the information coming out from the Russian side is very dependable for most cases, not all cases, most cases. Whereas on the information coming out from the Ukraine side, 50% of the time is very dubious, and remaining 50%, half of it is exaggeration or repeating what have already happened. So it's really hard. It's really hard for me to become pro-Ukraine, because there's totally no information for me to become pro-Ukraine. So that's how it is. I mean, my channel Defense Politics Asia have benefited from this war, and it's not really a good thing that the success of Defense Politics Asia is built on the death of so many. And then but if a war ends very quickly, then I think before I can even introduce more content, then the channel might die. But if the war drag on, then more people will die. Well, whilst I have a lot more content to do, so it is also a conflicting situation for me, morally or ethically, and I just hope that innocent people don't die. Combatants, you can go ahead and die, because this is a war and you sign up for it. But I don't really see a good ending for Ukraine, regardless what it is. Ukraine have committed into a total war state. Half of the population has left. The women and the old people, most of them have left. That's basically half of your workforce. Basically, their economy, I believe, 90% is crippled. I don't think you can operate without all your women. So because every company have women in their companies, and you have all the women all already left the country, there goes your economy. They are already unable to sow their seeds. They are not able to get their fertilizers and stuff. So Kiev is already sounding out to the West that they need food, they need wheat, something that they supposed to provide to the world. Now they are asking from the Europeans for it, which the Europeans themselves are going to have problem buying. It's just impossible. And then they just told EU that they need 7 billion a month to pay salary, and that is on top of all the money that they have been spending and getting just to channel and funnel straight into war. The debt crisis is not going to be doable. They are not going to be able to pay the debt. The Ukrainian hernia is likely to also go into hyperinflation in the near future. If they are unable to get more money or borrow more money, or no one want to loan them money, and they have to buy stuff, they are going to print money, and then they're going to cause hyperinflation. So there is not going to be a good ending for Ukraine, even if they win the war. So and winning the war simply means dragging it out until the Russians decide to give up and declare they have victory, and then stick with whatever border that they have, and that is as much as a victory that I think the Ukrainians can have. So it's just so depressing. So anyway, this is just a catch up video for any new viewers or followers of mine, and also those that want to know my thoughts about all these things. And since it's day 50, or actually day 50 was like the day before yesterday, whatever it is, I hope you have a different perspective about the things happening in Ukraine now, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If not, sorry for wasting your time and hearing me rant about Ukraine. And I'll see you in the next update, which will be the summary for day 50 and day 51. So I'll see you soon.